And we're back, everybody. This time I think we got our situation fixed. So I think we should be good. I found a hardwire connection. So I think that we should be okay. Because if you anybody that knows anything about streaming knows that Wi-Fi is definitely not the way to go. So the question was just finding a hardwire connection. So I think we're good. So now we are, of course, at our main topic from a certain point of view. And it's talking about how the fandom's destroying Star Wars. And we started talking a little bit about that, but then, of course, we got all frazzled with these technical issues. So, Daryl, what are your thoughts on this whole Star Wars toxicity thing that's going on right now that may be preventing future films?
Yeah. So as I was doing some browsing online, I came across this article and it was really just kind of talking about the fans of Star Wars. And, as much as we love this franchise, we love what Star Wars means to us and everything like that. I think we do have to be mindful as fans, especially in this day and age of technology and social media. There is a certain responsibility that we do share in the creation and in the love and the pursuit of Star Wars. And I think there's a lot of things that are happening where people are no longer wanting to become a part of the Star Wars franchise due to the fans. There's a lot of fans who have taken to social media and they have been irresponsible and very malicious in their actions on social media, which is causing a lot of actors, directors, actresses, folks not wanting to, be a part of Star Wars when asked by Lucasfilm because of the backlash that they have seen others come under. And a lot of it, especially the actors and actresses, a lot of it is not their fault. They're just following the script and the direction of the director. And then the director, hey, I understand a lot of people hated Last Jedi. I understand why, but Ryan Johnson did write that script and he did direct that movie. However, it still had to be greenlit through Lucasfilm. So that means the powers that be, that means Bob Iger, Kathleen Kennedy, Pablo Hidalgo, all those high ups all had to like kind of pretty much sign off on that movie. So that's the reason why it was made. And that's why it was, made the way that it was. So if there's any blame to be put, it should be put on the house more so than the instead of the directors and the actors and actresses who portrayed the characters. Now, that's not to say that we should start sending death threats and things like that to the higher ups either. I mean, once again, they're still human beings. They're still people. They have families. They have, and no one wants to see, their family members dragged through the mud like that. You can disagree with some choices that they make. You cannot want to support certain things. That's fine. But I just, as a fan, for over 20 years, I wouldn't. I don't think that's the way that we should conduct ourselves.
No.
It's very hard for, like I said, actors and actresses to kind of get into this because, they're like, yeah, I want to be a part of the Star Wars franchise. It might have been a dream of some, and now they're like hesitant because, like, well, I don't want to because so what happened to the last guy, the last person that tried to do it, or the Mandalorian is successful. Okay, that's cool, but who's to say that this is going to be? And we understand that's the problem, and we all see it as fans. Once Disney took over, we saw this has been a big problem with the planning and the execution of a lot of things when it comes to Star Wars. But I think as fans, we need to take a step back and really look at ourselves and say, like, okay, if we want more Star Wars content, if we want more, creativity, there's ways of voicing your opinions, submit your scripts or, keep doing those types of things, or I don't know, maybe become a part of the think tank group or something like that, or figure out ways to be creative and kind of show the higher ups, hey, this is what we're looking for. This is what we want. But to threaten JJ Abrams by saying like, oh, okay, if I had two bullets and I had Hitler and Osama bin Laden and JJ Abrams in the room, I'm shooting JJ Abrams twice. That's just cruel, and that's just it's uncalled for. So I just think that we as fans need to police each other and do a better job on social media. If you see someone being just blatantly disrespectful, and sometimes some things are funny, don't get me wrong, but it's like you also have to think that how is someone else going to interpret those things?
Well, and I think even beyond that, right? I mean, made very excellent points. To the point where I almost didn't have to say anything. But to just jump a little bit on what you're saying, people have to understand that Star Wars is kind of a unique franchise. It's not like a lot of the other franchises, and I think that that's where the passion is coming from. But the problem is that this fan passion is turning toxic, and it's so toxic that it's almost cool to hate it. It's almost one of those things to where it's almost like no matter what
Hmm.
they do, people are just gonna have already made up their mind that they're gonna hate
Well,
it. Yeah, and I mean, first of all, I get it. You're comparing it to the gold standard, which is the original trilogy, but that was made by one person at a certain time. There had been nothing in the world like it. And I mean, it's just one of those things where nothing's ever going to be the same as that. And I think that Disney unquestionably has mishandled the Star Wars franchise. I mean, they're lucky that the movies are actually as good as they are, but yeah, there was some bad decisions. I mean, look, I've stood up here on my own little soapbox and have ranted and raved about, how there was no plan and that they should have actually got the directors in a room and then they could have mapped out something and then just execute the plan and then take little liberties or whatever within a framework. And that wasn't done. But the problem is that instead of saying, okay, this movie came out, I wasn't really too nuts about it. All right, I'll just wait for the next one. Yeah, they're chasing all the actors off of social media. They're doing all these things to the point where nobody really wants to do Star Wars. And here's the problem that I see, and let me get your feelings on this. I think that that's their goal. I honestly think that people are saying, you know what? I'm tired of them ruining this franchise. So if they actually said, you know what, nobody really wants to do Star Wars anymore, I think that they would celebrate that. And then fans like us who actually find a lot of really cool stories, in the books and the comics and the TV series. I mean, all that stuff is really, really good. And the funny thing is that a lot of the fans actually feel the same way. It's the movies that everybody targets, basically. I mean, when you really stop and think about it, the only real issue that Star Wars truly has is the movies. And
hmm
even within the movies, it's not even all the movies because a lot of people love Rogue One, right? And people like Solo
hmm
even if they didn't think it was necessary, but it's really only the last couple of saga films if you really want to look at it that way. So my whole thing is like before everybody starts going psycho about, criticizing Star Wars and everything because everybody feels that it's cool to do that now. Take a breath and wait and see what they do next. I'm wondering what they're going to do next because honestly, you have this mystery movie that's supposed to come out in 2 years. Well, maybe 2.5 thanks to the virus, but the point is that they actually have something going in 2022. Now, who knows if that's still on the table or what, but I don't know. I mean, I just think it's really interesting that the toxicity of the fans has grown to the point to where actors are apprehensive to even take the roles. It's like you guys don't understand. You're actually destroying. Everybody keeps talking about how they want everybody to fix Star Wars. Well, I wish that they would come in and fix it. I wish they would do it right. I wish they would get X director and Y actor and come in and do it. But the problem is, if you have this level of toxicity, nobody's going to want to do it. So, you're going to
yeah,
kill
no
the
one.
entire franchise.
Yeah,
Crazy.
no one should have to risk their mental health. You know what I mean? Like, and we've heard stories, from, Ahmed Best. We've heard stories about Jake Lloyd. We've heard stories about Kelly Marie Tran. We've heard, and now even as of late, Daisy Ridley, she got off of it. She's like, you know what? I don't have to. I don't have to be on social media. It's not something I have to do. But I mean, why should these people have to limit something that they may enjoy, or and why can't they live a normal life like everybody else and just enjoy social media for what it is? And yes, you're gonna have people who are not gonna like certain things, or you even thought it was the whole thing was a crappy, sequel trilogy. Fine, what I'm saying. And okay, there's ways of expressing that without being malicious. And I think that's the thing that people don't understand, that these are still people. Just because they have their
Right.
job just happens to be acting. And because you didn't like something. I mean, that's just almost like, you don't like at being at your job and someone coming up to you every 5 minutes, like, oh my God, you suck. And I mean, what if somebody just starts sitting there as a chat message and throughout your job at you every day? You wouldn't want to stay there. You want to, oh,
Exactly.
I got to get out. This place is not healthy. Well, how do you think these people feel? And that's the thing. Like, they have wives, children, husbands, you know, things like that. So I just think we just need to be really mindful. And if you're a true Star Wars fan, and granted, we are passionate, but that does lead to the dark side. Yoda was right. Look at us. Look at how it's driving a deeper wedge into the thing. It's
Well, no, man, you
now people
gotta
fear going to the thing. People now hate it. They
right,
have anger.
right.
All tip Yoda was right.
Well, here's my thing, and this is the problem that I have. It's like, I mean, I get it, but at the end of the day, we have to just look at this and go, you know what? They're just movies, guys. This is not worth actually going and
Yeah.
targeting people, like real people that are trying to enjoy their lives. Their only crime was to act in a film. And in the
Yeah.
case of the actors, they were just doing what the director told them to do, right? So I mean, it's kind of
Right.
like you take Ahmed Best, for example. For what he was directed to do, he did the job extremely well. He did
Yeah. He should have
exactly
gotten an
what
Academy Award for that.
exactly. He did exactly what George wanted him to do. Now, did it drive us all insane? Absolutely. I'm
Absolutely.
I am one of those guys that
Here.
I mean, the thing that's kind of funny is I kind of like the character of Jar Jar. He gets on my nerves, but I like him in doses. I think that's probably the best way to put it for me. I like him in doses, but again, it's one of those things where you had Ahmed Best almost killing himself. He almost jumped off a bridge because of what the fandom did to him. And it's like, is it really worth it? You chase Kelly Marie Tran off of social media. It got to the point where she couldn't even get on any kind of social media without being attacked. Look at Ryan Johnson. I mean, he's viciously attacked. Now, granted, he's a little bit more culpable because of the fact that, yes, he was the one that actually wrote and directed The Last Jedi, but still, it's kind of like, dude, it's a movie. If you didn't like it, wait a couple of years. And obviously, a lot of people flocked to see this stupid thing. Look, you and I were two people that we overall liked The Last Jedi. We thought we appreciated the chances that it took and some of the risks that it took. But at the same time, you and I also said, you know what? There were some issues with it. There were some big issues with it. There was a whole section of the movie, namely the Canto Bight scene, that we didn't like. But at the end of the day, it's kind of like, guys, it's a film. Relax. And now we're finding out that people are actually a little hesitant, like good actors and directors that would like to take a stab at a Star Wars movie, but they're deathly afraid of the fans. Well, congratulations. If that's what you guys wanted, you got your wish. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
it's we the fans that are going to suffer for it.
Yeah, because there's now okay. So now what happens? There's no more Star Wars being made. After everybody's been like, "Oh, I can't wait for Star Wars to come back." What's going to happen to the Mandalorian? What's going to happen to now a Kenobi series? What's going to happen to anything? And it's like, we can be the voice, but it doesn't have to be a toxic one. It could just be something that's like, hey, I wish they would do this. And we all have our own opinions about different things. But at the end of the day, these people have real lives. These people, feel and have emotions just like you and I. So just be considerate of that. And just stop tearing down the franchise or there won't be one.
Exactly. Couldn't put it better myself. But you know what? Like I said, whatever you guys are thinking, if you're watching this live, leave it in the chat. We'd love to chat live with you guys. If you guys are watching it on replay, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment below, whatever you guys want to do. We're here for you guys. Again, this live streaming is a little new. We're trying to work our way through it, and eventually I think I'm going to have to get a more powerful computer. But hey, until then, you know, we're going to keep soldiering on. We're going to keep looking at some different alternatives. And we really like this live stream format because we can actually interact with you guys. And, you know, of course, on the replay, we could still interact with you guys in the chat. But like I said, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button for this video, help support our channel. All right, so I think after all that, after all that ranting and raving, it is time
Yes.
to clear your mind. That's right. All right. Ah, everything's going crazy. All right, well, what's our first question on Clear Your Mind? I think everything's calmed down.
All right. I don't know, somebody about to pull out the next thing we're about to talk about, and that has been submitted by Yul Vetti, and his question is, what is the Darksaber?
So the Darksaber, this is like a really cool thing that they actually introduced in the Clone Wars, I believe. And it's essentially what happened was there was a Jedi from Mandalore. So it was a Mandalorian Jedi. He was the very first Jedi ever from Mandalore. And he crafted the Darksaber as sort of like his lightsaber.
It's Tar Vizsla.
Yeah, Tar Vizsla. That's right, because he was actually oh goodness, what's a person? This is why it's so funny. I keep like blanking out on these names. There's another Vizsla that actually appears in the Clone Wars. It's a descendant. But yeah.
Oh, pre-Vizsla.
Pre-Vizsla. That's it. I knew it. It was like on the tip of my tongue. I couldn't think of it. But yeah, this is a person who had crafted like their own version of the lightsaber, which is a Darksaber. They ended up dying, obviously, and then the Jedi had it locked up, and then the Mandalorians sort of stole it back, and then you have pretty much everything that plays out in the Clone Wars, and then again in Rebels, where they had the Darksaber, and then Sabine actually wields it, which I thought was kind of cool. But yeah, I mean, think of it as kind of like an offshoot of a lightsaber.
Yeah. It's kind of like I said, it's made on it's by a Jedi Master who was from a Jedi Master who was actually from Mandalore. And yeah, it was really a really cool thing because it had a different look to it. It didn't have the traditional lightsaber look to it. It actually kind of looks like a ninja's katana. That's kind of what the look of it is. It's more of a katana style lightsaber, and it's really cool. And of course, they passed it down through different generations and the different houses that deal with on Mandalore, and it's whoever wields it kind of was like the leader of Mandalore. So that's why it was always kind of like this big, I guess, this big to do, and no one has ever seen it until we got a chance to see it on the Mandalorian season 1, which I had no idea that they were actually going to go that route. Like,
no, that was.
I mean,
so
we knew,
cool.
of course, they were dealing with the Mandalorian, but I never thought in a million years they were going to bring the dark. Yeah, I never thought in a million years they were going to bring the Darksaber out. I was like, whoa. And then to actually see Moff Gideon with it, and it's just like, yikes. Okay, this just got interesting.
Yeah, that was just such a weird and yet really cool thing to see. To actually see a live action version of it, I mean, that just blew my mind when I first saw that. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. But that's basically a brief history of the Darksaber. You can go back and look at it. Uh-oh, we're losing Daryl again. Hopefully he comes back. Yeah. So I guess it wasn't... It's so weird that we're having all these problems. But hopefully that answers your question about the Darksaber. But I think that that's going to actually wrap it up for our show today. That was pretty much our whole head-to-head segment. So anyway, I think we're going to wrap it up here. I'm Eric Vansel. Daryl Sanders is usually with me. And we'll see you guys next week where hopefully we won't have quite as many problems.